if it was
You're
capable
arguing
or
against democratic policies. It's amazing. Why don't you just join the Republican Party?
David Pakman had on Cenk from TYT and Destiny for a fiery leftist debate. After watching this, it is clear that Destiny is definitely more of a centrist than I thought. Let's take a look at some highlights and discuss.
Destiny, I want to stick with you for a second. Before the election, you tweeted, if Kamala ends up winning, the entire far left, the commies, tankies, Hamas supporters, etc., need to be effing jettisoned from the party. We don't need them to win. We can turn out our own base, and they are an absolute effing cancer to be associated with. Given Trump's victory and whatever it means to you, do you stand by that?
Yeah, 1,000,000,000,000%. I think that having
Great.
to answer
We should
for
jettison you.
having to, well, but I mean, I represent far more of the party than the far left
Apparently you
does.
don't. Apparently you represent the loser wing.
You can the loser,
Jettison,
like every
eject,
progressive
eject,
candidate that is
eject.
running in all of their elections that are being tossed. They lose their primaries. They lose their actual elections. Like they're losers. They're by definition, they're losers.
Progressive candidates have a hard time winning elections because they are against the current political structure and both sides in power are against them. Clinton and Kamala both lost to Trump. They were Destiny's chosen candidates. He aligns with them and they lost. I don't know why he is talking about losers.
47% of our audience said Democrats should embrace left-wing economic populism and move further to the left. 44% either said that the Democratic Party is perfect the way it is, change nothing, or should move further to the center, deal with issues of crime and immigration in a way that more resembles the way the right talks about it, etc. I think to start with, I just want to hear about your reaction to that and which direction sounds like it's the one we need to go in.
So, David, I know those questions are rough and it's hard to phrase them exactly right, but I think that you put two different things into one question and then hence it becomes misleading. Now, when you go to the progressive side, everybody just goes, "Oh, progressives." But wait a minute, there's two very different camps in there.
Yep.
There's a camp that's Bernie 2016 that I'm in, that's economic populism, left-wing populists. And then there's the identitarian left, which is go maximum on crime doesn't exist, trans people should be able to play in any professional sports they like, free surgeries for detainees, on and on and on, right? And so my thesis is not one that's even, I don't even think it's arguable, let alone controversial. The corporate wing and the identitarian left wing proved to be a spectacular failure in this election. Clearly the popular wing, and by the way, this is not a matter in dispute. You can just look at the polling. So the identitarian left says defund the police is going to poll really well. Latinx is going to poll really well, except it doesn't. It polls disastrously, right? And the corporate wing says, oh, me kissing the ass of corporations is going to poll really well. And it doesn't. It never does, right? But when you look at the populist left, you've got paid family leave, you've got $15 minimum wage, you've got lowering drug prices, on and on and on, universal health care. They all polled 2/3 or higher. So why not do the thing that's popular? So this is, and of course, there's a reason why they don't. And it's because the whole thing is built on money, 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 money. I mean, the first thing that Joe Biden took out of the first COVID relief bill was the $15 minimum wage. He was lying about it from day one. He buried that. And why? It was, again, polling over 2/3. Why would you take that out? Why wouldn't you let the Republicans defeat it if they're going to defeat it and then use it as a tool against them to win elections? The reason you don't do any of that is because your donors ordered you not to do that.
Destiny, about to that point, Bernie Sanders said shortly after the election, I'm paraphrasing, of course, the working class abandoned Democrats because Democrats abandoned the working class. Do you think there's truth to that critique from Bernie?
No, of course not. It's
Destiny is absolutely wrong. In 1 year alone, Democratic candidates and committees received $8.6 billion in donations. Even Democrats nobody has ever heard of received millions of dollars from corporations. Nancy Pelosi received over $6 million in corporate funding in 2024 alone. When it's time to create policy, do you think she will favor average working people or the corporations that pay her? It's an easy answer. That is the problem with America. The rich and corporations have been donating to politicians for decades decades, and policy has continued to shift away from helping people and gone into the pockets of the wealthy elite. Both sides do it. The Democrats are masters at pretending they are for the working people while actually sucking off corporations and the rich.
I guess like this is the eternal mystery for progressives is that, and I've argued with so many on this, their candidates are supposedly the most popular, just nobody knows it yet, and all the positions that they have are the most popular positions. Then why do their candidates lose all their elections?
First off, why could Trump overcome it and Bernie couldn't? You're leaving out the fact that Trump was an enormous celebrity, and they literally gave him over $1 billion in free media as he was running on the Republican side. Whereas Bernie Sanders got in his miraculous run to catch Hillary Clinton that started in 2015, where he went from 1 point to basically about 48 percentage points. ABC covered him for 7 seconds, the whole year, 7 seconds. So that's what mainstream media does, because they're literally corporate media. They're multi-billion-dollar corporations. So they hate actual populists like Bernie Sanders. Fake populists like Donald Trump. Oh, it's a clown show. We're having fun. Give him a couple of $1 billion in free media and see how it turns out.
The giant media companies love Trump in office. For example, MSNBC and CNN have higher ratings when they can bash Trump. At the same time, they receive massive tax cuts. It's a win-win. They completely ignore any politician that speaks truth to power and tries to redistribute wealth from the top 1% to the average working class of America. When people heard Bernie speak, they loved him, and the media companies had a strategy of silence.
I mean, there's nothing to say. Like progressives have nothing to show for their record. They have like bad polling, like that 70-80% of Americans support single payer. That's not true. We've done the polling on this over and over and over again. If you poll in the most favorable manner, they support it. If you poll for what it actually is, that support plummets to like 25%.
That's not remotely true.
It is absolutely true. I don't remember if it was
You're arguing against Democratic policies. It's amazing. Why don't you just join the Republican Party?
So let me just about whether or not the policy is good or bad.
Well, if I can interject one thing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
From what I've seen, the polling Cenk mentions does exist, around 70-75% support. The polling I've seen with what we might call more specific wording, it's not that support drops to 25%, but I have seen it drop to more like 48 to 50%.
Recent polling shows overwhelming support for a public option, which is what most people are advocating for. Nobody is trying to get rid of private insurance. We just want to get rid of the profit-hungry middleman trying to make money from sick people.
Arbitrary obsessions with like, we got to slash the Pentagon by X dollars. We have to slash the military. Like, why? What do you want to cut? Like, let's talk about that. Was the F-35 program a mistake? Do we want to have, no military presence around the world? Do we shut down all of our bases?
It's amazing. I mean, unfortunately, this is proving at least part of MAGA's point here, which is Destiny is now defending the Pentagon against cuts. Like, that's the neocons. And then we brought in the neocons, the Liz Cheneys and the Dick Cheneys.
Wait, should we abolish our entire military?
No, of course not. I'm going to tell you what to do in a second. But this idea of like, don't touch the Pentagon.
Wait. I never said don't touch the Pentagon. I just said name what you want to get rid of. I didn't say don't touch it. I just said
so. But you're happy to Are you happy to have the conversation about cutting the Pentagon first?
If you have a thing you want to cut from it, then yeah, sure.
Okay, so like you're not like even as a general thing, you're like, well, I'm not sure about cutting the Pentagon. That's amazing to me. So why did I pick the Pentagon? First of all, I would much rather have that than cutting social programs. But more importantly, that's where all the waste is. And that's not theoretical or hypothetical. It's real. They just failed their 7th audit in a row just yesterday. And in the last audit that they failed, they said we can't find $400 billion.
One look at this graph will tell you that the United States needs to cut money from the military. It's crazy to hear a Democrat arguing we might not need to lower spending on the military and use it towards helping people at home to improve their lives. Destiny is advocating for the same Democratic policies that lost 2 elections to Donald Trump, the biggest liar in political history. Maybe consider trying something new. I thought he was supposed to be smart.